just another question that gets asked that's helpful, I think, for the community of, why did the county in the past approve so many residential developments if the infrastructure wasn't available to support it?
So again, I'll take that one. This is Janice Spiegel. And I would say an important fact to remember is that the county does have what's called an adequate public facilities ordinance, which is a law that ensures that infrastructure keeps pace as residential growth occurs around the county. So that law applies to all developments that are located within the county boundaries, but not within municipal growth areas or municipal boundaries. So, for example, the city of Frederick does not have to follow the county's APFO. They have their own APFO. But for example, the town of Newmarket does not have an APFO. So it really varies on the municipality and how they choose to manage their growth within that municipality. So I'm speaking today of just the county's adequate public facilities ordinance, and we call that for short an APFO. So you'll often hear the word APFO and not necessarily understand what that means. So the APFO looks at adequacy from the standpoint of water and sewer, road, and school capacity. So, for example, with water and sewer, it looks for, to make sure that there's adequate flow rates, that the capacity is available to support the new development. In the case of roads, it looks to make sure the ordinance ensures that capacity is adequate at the intersections that are adjacent to the development that is being proposed. In terms of schools, we look to ensure that school capacity is available at 100% or less of state-rated capacity, and that's for the entire length of the build-out for the proposed development. So the question then becomes, if that's the case and the county has that law, how come we have overcrowded schools? Well, that's a very interesting question. And I will say that during the period of time between 2011 and 2016, there was a 5-year window where the county commissioners at the time passed an amendment to the county's APFO that allowed a developer to pay a fee called a school mitigation fee or a school construction fee. And if they paid that fee and had a legal contract, they were able to proceed and build out no matter how overcrowded a school became. So if a school was already at 120% of capacity, they were not allowed to use that fee option. If it was under 120% of capacity, they could choose the fee option. And we did have 44 developments who chose to use that option and to grow. Now, currently, that provision of the law sunset, which means it stopped in 2016. So anything since July of 2016 is not able to use that fee as an option. But we have 44 developments that are in some stage of development and currently building out that were able to use that fee, and that's the growth that we're currently seeing now. So I would think from the county standpoint, these are all legally binding contracts. We are required to adhere to the contracts that were signed during that period of time. The good news is we don't have any additional new contracts expected, but we're managing the contracts that are in place currently.
No, that's great information. I appreciate that, Janice. And certainly from the school's perspective, we've seen a lot of growth, and we will continue to increase our capacity system-wide over the next decade. So we certainly appreciate the county's support of that. And then finally, could talk a little bit about Livable Frederick and what that is, and maybe what impact that'll have on growth in the county?
Sure will. Thanks for that question, Paul. This is Steve Horn again from the Planning and Permitting Division. So Livable Frederick is a initiative that the county executive put forward several years ago, which is kind of finally coming to fruition. It's a new approach to comprehensive long-range thinking in Frederick County. The exec's task for us was to, do better with the plan that we have, looked for ways to improve the current plan, and then take some innovative approaches to considering improvements to the plan in the future. we wanted to kind of build on the successes of good planning that we've experienced in the past in the county, but also to take a new direction and look to more compact communities potentially in the future, recognizing that the county's demographics are changing and we're getting older, and with that comes a lot of different changes, demands for senior services, housing type changes that might take place over time. And so the exec's idea was to let's kind of assume what might be happening, look at different scenarios of how it might occur in the future, and get a plan together that will help us prepare for that. I think we looked at our existing growth areas and looked for ways to kind of maximize the potential there without creating any new growth areas. And so the plan puts forward a vision for the future that kind of considers how growth and development may occur in the future, but it also takes other aspects of growth into account, such as the health of our communities and population. It looks at agricultural infrastructure in the future. It considers how we might grow in the future with a minimal impact on our environmental resources, and it puts forward a number of kind of creative and innovative strategies to help us get there. So we're working through that process now with the County Council, looking at adoption hopefully here pretty soon, and we'll look forward to moving that plan forward and implementing it in the years to come.
Thanks. Well, this has been a very informative podcast. I really want to thank Janice and Steve for taking the time to come over and talk with us today, and we at FCPS certainly appreciate the great working relationship we have with our staff at the Frederick County government. Thanks again for tuning in to this fourth podcast.